Alrighty, good morning everybody. Today is November 19th, Tuesday. Hey, just wanted to make a video. What we're going to start doing so that way, in the essence of this video, we're going to discuss a few things. One of them will be some of the recall election results details. One's coming up. We're going to discuss how you know what you're getting is actually authentic and legitimate, and that'll be the gist of this video. So first and foremost, moving forward, what we're going to do is we're going to have a dedicated channel for the HOA to come to here on YouTube. You'll be able to hear directly from myself or through the board to myself and get the real scoop on what's going on, so that way there's less confusion about whatever people are sending out to you in the mail, so or an email as well. So this will help streamline direct information to you, but it'll also allow us to communicate and ask questions from people who, you know, are going to be there for you and stand by what we say and do. Also, like flyers and letters that go in the mail, you'll know if they're from the board or myself. We'll have a watermark or logo on them, our logo as the watermark. That'll help identify anybody who uses that. Will obviously be from the board. If someone gets caught, then clearly there's a a very serious repercussion for that. So that'll help you guys get the information from, directly from the source. So moving forward, it might be this channel that you go to get that information, and we'll update it like I've been doing pretty frequently. The next thing is the full board recall. So first, let me first kind of skip back. The recall for Michael Allen, that meeting was adjourned. The board will be deciding whether or not the reduction in the quorum, and then open up the ballots and all that gets done, and then we'll have an answer regarding what the outcome of that is. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the process, and how that works, is the ballots haven't been opened up because there wasn't a quorum of ballots present. A quorum of ballots present needed to be around 230. There's 169, which is very common, especially for our HOA. So ordinarily, since the directors had adjourned the meeting, they will wait for more ballots to come in, and then a 20 or 25% reduction in the ballots to be acceptable. And there's a process you have to do to get that to be acceptable, and then open up the ballots and then be able to make a determination on whether the director who's suing us frivolously over things that, quite frankly, he has, but pretends that he doesn't, and is recalled or not. So the important thing there to understand is that small claims court is a place where you don't need evidence to really prove your case. It's one of the only states, California is one of the only states that actually has a small claims court where there's no real evidence. You can just go in there and say whatever you want, and the discretion's up to the judge to do what he needs to do, or she needs to do, and who they believe and the reasons why. So I know it sounds crazy, because the same people who didn't think that was possible or found out it was, and now they're taking advantage of it. So that being said, that recall will be completed, I imagine, in the next, it has to be, I think, within the next couple weeks. Okay, so then on to the other really discombobulated, disorganized, crazy, weird emails and flyers that you've been getting. So that is for a board recall, which has already been accepted by the board. But then what the GPL supporters are trying to do, and besides using the exact same tactics that GPL used, they're trying to confuse you. And listen, don't be confused, don't be disheartened or disenfranchised from the process, because the the process of a association recall or membership recall is sacred. It's what they didn't have the guts or courage to do, being the GPL supporters like Harriet and Michael Allen, who's actually supporting recalling himself twice or something along those lines, at least once, and is in place to ensure that we as an HOA have the right to recall the board if they aren't willing to accept like signatures that came through. And we actually went through this earlier this year and late last year when the recall by a different group of GPL supporters was attempted and denied by myself and the board at that time, and then denied by the courts twice. So, and this one's actually reaching almost the exact same level of undue influence and fraud by using methods and methodology and things that they don't have a right to be using. For instance, when you're going into people's emails because you were a director or because you knew someone that gave it to you who's a director, and illegally taking that information and sending out these wild emails. And we know who it is. I mean, I think Harriet sent them out, or her name's at least attached to it, and I don't think she'd even deny it. Plus, I think we already can guarantee you that it is based on the IP address it was sent from. So the bottom line becomes at that point, how far do we want to take it? Well, the process, and people say, oh, this is fraudulent. They're using Lordan and Lordan's likeness. Lordan doesn't care. I mean, listen, Lordan's there to just do what it is that they do. But you can't really use those resources. So then there was another confusing flyer, email, or whatever that was sent out, and for those of you that are wondering how Harriet Cohn had your email, probably a good thing to ask her. My guess is that Michael Allen gave it to her, or Hal Siegel, or somebody on the board gave her all those emails. So it wasn't us. Don't be mad at us. It wasn't me, certainly. As you know, I don't send out those types of emails. I don't blast the HOA. And if I did, I certainly would let y'all know. Of course, I have access to it, but I don't think that's what people appreciate, regardless of its effectiveness. I just don't feel like it's the proper way to do things, to be honest with you. So, okay, that being said, so the process of having the whole entire association, or not whole entire, but an association type recall is because for over 25 years, when we were getting fleeced, when Leo McHale and Terry Miller and John Losing and Bonnie Simo were allowing GPL just to absolutely ravage our reserve account. I think it was near $1 million around 10 years ago, down to $2,000 when I took over as president. The hell happened to $998,000 and 96% of our dues. It was a nightmare. So we want to protect that process. So it's not necessarily fraudulent or bad that there is an association membership type recall. It's just the process that how they're doing it. It's a nightmare. I mean, this is a very simple thing that they've made very difficult and confusing. The likelihood that this thing would succeed, they haven't even. Like I said, I'm not going to give away everything. The bottom line is respect the idea that an association can recall its board, even this one, because the people who are choosing to do it now and weren't doing it later identifies the type of people you have in your association conducting that type of recall now. Okay. Here's the other thing that's going to be somewhat confusing to some. The board has already accepted that recall. Think about that. They've already accepted that recall. But because the GPL supporters like Harriet and Mary Wood and Michael Allen and the rest of them, because they wanted to hurry it up, they didn't like the fact that the board, although they accepted it, said, hey, listen, ordinarily we'd let you know in like 20 days when it's going to be, but we have a current recall, so we can't do that, right? You can't have like two recalls at the same time, which is in essence what that group of GPL supporters was trying to do. So the question is, well, why are they trying to do it, and why are they trying to do it so fast? Well, we know why. And it's because in January, there's a CMC, and I've said this in another video, which is a case management conference. And that case management conference is kind of the time where the court's going to hear our side of what's going on and hear GPL's side. And what these GPL supporters want to do before that conference is they want to be able to give GPL ammunition to say, hey, listen, Your Honor, we've got a new board and we think we can settle with GPL, or we think the HOA is willing to settle with GPL. We think that, you know, the Harriet Cohen, Michael Allen led regime is willing to give him a couple $100,000 out of our reserve account to settle it and get it off the books, and you know, we're going to be good. Now remember, what's odd about that is GPL filed a lawsuit against us and they want us to settle. And why you know they're GPL supporters is because they're using the exact same tactics, and they've said that they want these court cases settled and they want to settle with GPL and all that. And those are the same things that last year at this time GPL was trying to say, is settle with GPL. Well, why do you file a lawsuit and then want to settle? I mean, the reality of it is that would be an absolute catastrophe for us. They don't know first thing about what's going on in the courts. In fact, you can tell because the things they write, not only aren't they true, but they're almost like they're written from the hand of David Smith and GPL himself. So don't be fooled. I mean, we didn't win like 14 out of 15 hearings to get this far because we didn't have a great plan and a great execution strategy and a way of conducting business on behalf of the HOA that you would be proud of. So keep that in mind. So when it comes to this board recall from whoever's sending them out, like LLHOA petitioner thing, be careful. Don't, you know, giving out your personal information to an email, you don't know who the heck it is. I really think you guys need to be careful on that because I don't know what is true, what isn't. It's really a sad state of events when, you know, we've been able to do as much as we have. And, you know, I'll just kind of give you guys the financial rehash. There's around $290,000 in cash that we have, and we have plenty of money to pay everything and anything. And as they unintentionally provided you, is even with all the litigation that's going on, we've been able and will continue to be able to put a lot of money back into our reserves, back into our country club. But, you know, keep that in mind. I don't want to make this much longer of a video, but again, I hopefully covered a couple of the topics that make some things clear. First one being, you'll have direct communication with myself, the board, through a channel, probably this one. Videos where you can get updated information. Anything that's from the board or supported from the board or is authentic will have our logo and watermark on it, and that will help identify those official type emails or communications to you guys, so you know, and you're not getting, you know, bamboozled by, you know, GPL supporters. So that's pretty much it. I will probably make another video on down the way, but if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. The other thing is I hear this all the time when I'm on Facebook, and it's funny, you know, I heard me say it before I did, but, you know, don't forget to click the subscribe button and below. And for John Zakari and, you know, the GPL supporters, you can hit the dislike button on that too. But if you do like it, you can hit the like button. I guess somehow, some way that benefits the channel. So any money that would come from the channel would go directly to the HOA. I don't think we'll ever get there to monetize our stuff, but if we did, you have this video. Anyway, I wish you guys nothing but the best. Have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for your time, and talk soon.